Oh, and then my volume's down. Okay, so normally I do not record the healthy habits things for the Zooms for the public because they're a membership program. But I wanted to talk to you guys about something. When I started the program, of course, it was winter, and I have a lot more time for that. And I will have more time here for the videos and stuff coming up. But I had three different levels of the membership program. The base one is just if you want just the recipes, exercise guides. It's a do-it-yourself a la carte menu, right? It's only $10 a month. And it was what I offered for people because so many people were like, well, thank you for your time. They wanted to send money. I'm like, I don't take money, but it's a way that I could give back and then you had a way to bless my little business. Now, at the top level, one of the things that happened is I herniated my disc right after I started the program. And so then my making the videos came to an end because it became excruciatingly painful. And so with the top level program, you get two one-on-one monthly. So twice 20 minutes. Now, normally those sessions go about an hour, but they're supposed to be 20 minutes, two 20-minute one-on-one coaching sessions. Now, what I'm learning is that most of the people doing that upper level just want to bless me. They don't even take that session. So what I want to talk about today is the level that I think most of you would be most helped at. And I do believe that's the $24.99 a month level. Because typically, like some of you on here, if you've had a few one-on-one sessions with me, I don't keep you dependent on me. You already kind of know what you're doing, but I give you a few little basic tools and step through things, and then you're good to go, right? You don't really need, you kind of got your driver's license, so to speak. I helped you get to that driver's license. Now, the reason this $24.99 a month level really works, I think the best for most people, is because we still get the bi-monthly meetings for accountability. You get to ask your questions. I take you through videos on here. I go through grocery store videos. Like I tell you the products that are safe, that are not safe. Um, I think that's enough for most people. And I'm not trying to discourage you from the upper level, but I'm saying what I'm learning is most of you don't need that. And then sometimes there's this whole other situation where everybody's schedules are so stinking busy. So fitting in those two private meetings of 20 minutes a month has been kind of difficult. So if we do a group meeting like this, I think it really is beneficial. So I wanted to point out, so with the page, it's over on Patreon, God's Little Hummingbird Healthy Habits. Well, actually, one day we had a little meeting on here with the paid members, and there were quite a few people on, and I asked people to raise their hands who had lost weight and gain and gotten healthy, and they all that day had raised their hands. They were all, yes, we've all experienced success from this. And my goal in life is not just to spiritually get you healthy, but also physically get you healthy. So I wanted to talk to you guys, get your feedback and your input. Um, Again, I don't, I will not, I just don't want people just to send me money. But if I can work and help you, then whatever. You can support a business I have because you can't come here for photos. So I'm always like, okay, because that's how I support a lot of you. If you have businesses, then I'll support your businesses. And I believe in working for what we have. I just do. And so it was a way that I could help you get healthy with some information that I had. Remember, I used to be a health food store owner. I had a non-GMO organic restaurant and bakery. I did 548 contracted meals per day plus everything. And I've always been into health and fitness. So with this program, a few of you have done the highest level. I guess just give me if you don't mind sharing some of your testimony, if it helped, because I do believe it helped. But at the same point, what I see is many times we get the information, then you kind of know what to do, and you don't need that level anymore. Sometimes you can go down to the middle level and and then just have the interaction of the group and learn the weekly lessons or the twice a month. I do two a month. Some during the winter I do more, but the program includes two times a month as a group meeting at the middle level. At the higher tier, you get the two group meetings and the two private meetings, blah, 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 blah. So if anybody would be willing, I'm not going to put anybody on the spot, but if you would be willing to share your testimony, if you think it's worth it, and am I assessing this situation correctly, that once you've had a few weeks or a few months at the upper tier, I think most of you can go down to the middle tier. I think that, right? Okay, Yesenia, you got your hand up. Do you want to share with us, sweetie? Oh, we can't hear you.
Yeah, it was definitely worth it for me in the beginning. It gave me that like jump start, but then yeah, afterwards it's like you're able to coast.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
I thought like, because I do, yeah, because even because every 2 weeks I put out, sometimes every week, but I realized I wasn't giving some of your muscles enough time to develop that program. So I started to go every 2 weeks, not literally because of just my time. I was like, ooh, if I had clients in person, I always went 6 weeks. And then here I am giving you a new exercise program every week. So you have a variety to pick from. But I like to get your body conditioned. And so I think Yesenia is right that if some of you need a push, the upper level starts at the beginning, I think is a great place to start because you get one-on-one interaction with me where I make you specific, I literally give you weekly menus and I target it. And it really does work, doesn't it? Like I kicked poor Yesenia's butt that one week. I'm like, this is gonna burn, but she's gonna lose weight. And I think you lost 6 pounds that week or something like that.
Yeah, that week. And then in total, it ended up being 15.
Woo! And my husband lost 23 pounds. Now, if you now Yesenia, they had a hot summer. And so, but if she continued on that, what I'm going to tell you, I can almost guarantee more than the 15 pounds she's lost inches because then all of that redistributes as muscle and muscle takes up less space than fat. And so as we redistribute that in your body, you become strong. Our goal is not to become skinny. I know I'm not the best reflection of what my goals are because I came from a family. My dad was 6'4", 155 pounds. Genetics are against me in getting like strong looking. I'll always look a little bit like a beanpole. But that being said, um, my goal in life is strength. I eat about 2,700 calories a day. Like I don't eat small portions. You would not know that by looking at me, but I eat a lot of calories. And so when I track them, I'm always 2,400 to 3,200 calories. So I just put that middle in there. About the 2,700 is where I usually shake out at. I don't believe in decreasing calories to the minimum. I believe in eating healthy, nutrient dense food. And so on the program, I give you very realistic menus because some of you all, your families will not eat the healthy food. So I give you meal plans and menus that are very realistic, but also health centered. And then I give you the carb cutting for those who are, if you're like really wanting to lose weight, I'm like, let's go through. So I would encourage those of you who really need the jump start on the program, do the upper level just at the beginning and then go down to the medium. I think the people at the lower levels, you kind of miss out on this one-on-one interaction or the group interactions. If you're at the lower level, you have to, I think it helps to have this group meeting, don't you? Okay, and Kim, you can tell, Kim had her hand up now. Sorry, guys, this is just the Healthy Habits Zoom. We're going to have our teaching tonight, but I wanted to encourage you all again about this program, kind of tell you what it is. If you have questions, feel free to come. This is the day I'm opening it up to everybody again. I did this about a year ago when I started the program. If you have questions, if you have whatever, this is the time to learn. You can feel free to join us on Zoom. This is not the Bible teaching, always Bible based though, everything in my life. So go ahead, Miss Kimberly Medema.
Okay, so I joined 2 months ago for the Healthy Habits, and just on the diet alone, with like the what you recommended for eating throughout the week and your little recipes, which the kids love, I lost 10 pounds just on the diet. I haven't even started doing the working out, so that was like a big thing that I really, really liked. And then I really like that you do challenges each week to challenge ourselves and kind of not only is it like a physical, but it's also like a spiritual, like you'll like, oh, you know journaling and all that fun stuff. So that really
Yep.
helped me.
Right, because I try to connect it all. Now, I'm not saying this is, and I have my thing's supposed to arrive today in the mail. In Wyoming, we are a day late on everything. I want to start making videos again of me cooking through the recipes. Um, the this last year has been, let's say, a little event filled, and the herniated disc made it so that I had to stop making the videos. But there's tons of exercise videos on there, programs, routines. I can walk you through things. The other thing is I'm a person, so you can message me and say, "Hey, can we talk about this?" and call and do this. And so I'm very open to help you. But my thing is, I just want to ask you guys, do you think I haven't heard one person who enrolled in the program who didn't experience success, but sometimes after a while they learned the information they needed and they didn't need it anymore. Like I've had a few people say, I think I've got what I need now. That's totally fine. But I think for a lot of people, it's a good way. like I said, it's just to support my little business, or if nothing else, it's just to help you get healthy because I won't take money. I won't take like donations. And so if you want to like work together, it's something that I can do to help you from my end where I feel like I'm blessing you because you're getting healthy. My husband lost on this, he started it with everybody else last year and lost 23 pounds in that first month. Uh, I know Cassandra has lost quite a bit on it. She had reached a plateau at one point, right? And then I'm her not favorite mother sometimes who comes along is like, we're going to get out there and walk. And now look at her. She's lost a lot more weight because she had lost like 100 pounds or 60. How much had you lost before you got here, Cass? 60? Okay,
60 and I've lost like another 20.
right. But she not only has lost 20
My
pounds,
pants don't fit.
right, she has actually gained a lot of muscle. You can see her liquefying before us. And she thought she could get away. The other day, I felt so bad. We get to Sabbath and she has carb sandwich, but bad carbs. And I looked at her, that is too big of a sandwich for you. And I'm like, oop, I shouldn't have said that. And the Lord said, yes, you should have. She needs to, you're her mama.
Yeah, but I wasn't planning to eat the whole thing. I knew I was going to finish that. I gave half the gill.
And that was fine. But I was like, you are not eating that many carbs. And sometimes she would cook her family the most carby food. And I'm like, girlfriend, we got to make some changes because you are going to be spiritually fit because we don't want to be the one that you don't want to be the one we leave behind when we're running from the enemy so the bear gets you. Don't be the fluffy one.
I have made phenomenal changes. I
Yes, she
do,
has.
what is it? What's it? Whole grain pasta now. Is that what it's called? Whole grain pasta. I'm making orange chicken this weekend instead of double frying it. We're going to grill the chicken and I'm not putting sugar, I'm putting honey.
That's awesome. Jessie just had a post over here. She's at the medium level. She has lost 15 pounds and gained no pregnancy weight. She's actually pregnant. And in the midst of all this, she's lost weight. My daughter-in-law is the same. And so my daughter-in-law is the same. So she has lost 80 some pounds, I think, at this point. And this is while being pregnant. And so in a healthy way, she had stuff to lose. And so it's, you guys, I know this program works, but I'm going to tell you for most of you, the middle level is going to be what you need rather than the top level. But some of you who don't even know where to start, the middle level still gives you 2 of these a month. And I'm not trying to, I'm a bad salesman. I always say that with my business. I want you to get what's most beneficial for you. I'm not out to get your money or your whatever. I don't want that. I'm like, I don't want that. I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm literally offering this service to get you healthy if you want it. If you can't afford it, there's quite a few people on here for free because you know what? My heart's to bless and get everybody healthy. It is something I do with my time of knowledge I've spent a lot of years with. So it's whatever. I can't do it free for everyone, but it's just one of those health, it's the thing. This is not the Bible stuff, just so you know. Sanine and Josie have something to add. Now, Josie, this girl, she can walk and run.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that it's very helpful it's the accountability. It helps when you like getting together and knowing that other people are doing the same thing. And so it's just nice to know that we're gonna be meeting. So then if I do have questions, that pop up during the time, then I know I can save them and put them in the chat. But it's been helpful to just know, to have that accountability of
It is. I think it does help a lot of people to work with each other to say, hey, we in together want to be spiritually healthy, but we also need to be physically healthy. And often your physical body is a reflection of what's going on spiritually in your life. And so if you're a little bit fluffy, I'm telling you, probably spiritually somewhere you're a little bit fluffy. And the Yahweh's trying to work that out of you, whether it be fat and sassy attitudes, whether it be a little bit lazy couch potato-ish, whether it be we're sitting on a big rump because we're just taking a little bit too much time sitting somewhere, whatever it is, we're going to see that the Father is speaking to us. And so with that being said, I want feedback also, and we're still going to go through your questions. I want feedback of what you feel I could do better, other than the impossible, which is make more exercise videos because of the status of my back. That's just not going to happen. And the Lord just, yep. I'm standing in the gap for some people till they stand upright. Okay, anybody have suggestions I could do better? We do some weekly challenges or bi-weekly challenges. I do every 2 weeks I try to put out new menus. I have both low carb, healthy family ones because families aren't always going to eat low carb. We have the medium program, or the entry level program, which I think most people aren't going to get as much out of, except for you can access menus, you can access the exercise programs, but it's kind of an a la carte do it yourself. The middle level is the most effective. I have a thread with you guys on there. I message you. I think it's a little bit more helpful. The middle level, I think, is the best value. The upper level, mostly it's for those, I get it. They just want to bless me for my time. I've given you that option. I wasn't going to do it. I understand your heart and I understand wanting to bless people. So I don't want to stop a gift, but I have to work for it. I'm not going to just do it for free. At the same point, finding those moments, and most of you are like, yeah, I don't have moments for the 20 minutes twice a month, or I don't really need that kind of help. So just bear in mind that one's kind of, if the people it would benefit the most are those who truly need a kickstart, need direction, who have no knowledge, who really need that direction to, like, okay, a couple months of that at that level is fine, and then I would suggest reducing to the middle one. I just for your benefit, because that's mostly where you'll maintain. Okay, that being said, suggestions for me to do better. I do want to start making the cooking videos some more. I've done some of the cooking videos, but my little gadget's coming where I can hook up the phone. Any suggestions? Things you guys want?
Well, I'm just really disappointed that you haven't given us your croissant recipe yet.
Oh, I do. We should make croissants. But sweetie, can I tell you this is healthy habits where we're trying to get a little bit lower carbs and get the fluffy off the tummy. So croissants do not make us low on the fluffy level on the tummy. Croissants are a definite treat. Actually, you know what we should do for our women's Bible study next week? I should make croissants and make one of you guys like film me. We'll have a little camera up and I can film it. But I'm telling you, if you have croissants, you better walk an extra 20,000 steps the day before. Not even just 2,000.
What
I'm
about
telling you.
what about crepes?
What about what, hun? It cut out there.
Crepes.
Crepes? Crepes? Crepes are good. Crepes are a little bit healthier, but they do have, now those are good too. Yeah, we can make all those. As if you didn't know, I had a bakery. I did a lot of French pastries, pâtisserie. They're very good. I'm not going to say they're healthy on the waistline, but I do use only organic butter and organic flour. So I do think that would be a good thing to do maybe in person, and show you guys, because I like to show you how I do the pats and the turns and the folds with the butter. And we have the little beurre out that we put in the fridge and we get it all cold, and we fold it. I make sure we have at least 73 folds, but we often go more than 73 folds and turns. In my bakery, we always had about 80 some folds. And then you can do pastries and all sorts of things with that. However, leave it to Miss Morgan, my sweet little, she's the most amazing thing. She's going to pick the one thing that's not healthy. Oh, it's so cute.
Gotta find something my husband will like.
I know. Judd, I teased him the other day. I said, should I put some coconut curry soup on your menu for the week? And he's like, yeah, you know me well. But I'll tell you, I used to have a restaurant, and at my restaurant, we had 8 different hot dishes, 2 different soups, a hot bar item, and a whole salad bar. And so there was something for everybody, all organic, all non-GMO, all homemade. So you could have your healthier Judson style food, which will still make you dumply fluffy sometimes if you eat too much. And then you could have your actual healthy food like lamb korma or aloo gobi masala. I had all sorts of dishes. It was fun. But poor Miss Morgan, she does have to cook for the fluffy side of her life, her husband, who likes the fluffy stuff. So we do try to make it healthier, but there's no getting around the fact that it will still make you a touch fluffy. Even though they're good, you just can't you can't out exercise a bad diet. It eventually is going to catch up to you in your 40s. It just is. And so Mr. Judson at that point will then come to his wife and say, hey, now I'm ready to listen. Let's eat healthier. But for now, at least we're getting the GMOs out. You guys are so cute. Okay, other suggestions for me. Okay, but Morgan, will you remind me that I think that that's something we should do as a group with everybody was talking about doing a little women's Bible study. I think at the Bible study, I take you through that, and then maybe somebody will record it. because I can't do it and record it. Not with those butter hands but okay. Other suggestions for me. You know me, you can be as harsh and real and direct as you need. I'm not going to get hurt feelings. I need Mecca. Mecca just took a shower. She's got a little shower cap on. I miss you, sweetie. Okay, who has other suggestions? So the apple turnover. Okay, Debbie goes. So the apple turnovers I made today are a no-no? No, always budget it in. I eat plenty of sweets, the right kind, but it's limited, right? I don't eat like, I'm not going to have a Danish every day or a cinnamon roll every day. I'm not going to have cookies every day. I'm sorry. And the Lord is cutting, getting us into that healthier cravings too. And believe me, like for me, eating an apple with sunflower butter or something like that, that's dessert. I'm like, this is so good. And I will crave spinach. Like the other day, I just could not. All I wanted was lettuce or spinach. So I go and grab a container. And what do I do when I'm driving? Open it up and eat out of the container. Like, I'm like a little happy cow eating as I go. And it was so good. I just don't crave the sugars because I don't eat that stuff. When you're 50, you really have to watch it. You know what I'm talking about. Okay, again, this is not the Bible study. This is just for the healthy habits information and suggestions and questions. Now, since I don't have any actual suggestions, feel free to put those in as we go. Oh, Danielle has a suggestion.
Can you make recipes where the vegetable is like the bowl? Like spaghetti squash, acorn
Yeah.
squash,
Yep.
pepper, stuff like that.
Absolutely. That's a good one. And I do that at my restaurant. I used to take like, what I would do is I would cook quinoa. Can I just give you guys some tips on how, let's just start that part. When we are cooking for a busy lifestyle, one of the best things you can do is the preparatory work. And so at my restaurant, on Sunday and Monday of the week, I would make all my parboiled potatoes. I would dice them into 1/4 inch or 1/2 inch cubes, and I would cook them to fork tender, boil them to fork tender. I would cook giant vats of quinoa, put a little bit of olive oil in there so it stays non-sticky. I would make a whole bunch of rice, and I would always store your rice in water. So here you have some hot, some healthy carbs. They are carbs, and some people need to cut those carbs. So just mind you, this is for healthy family. When you have those 3 tubs filled, you put them in your fridge. Then you take a buttload of tomatoes, dice, 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 dice. Get your little cuber machine, slice and dice. Boom, container of tomatoes. Then you take some peppers. Now Yesenia had trouble with her stain. Mine, I never had any trouble. I dice my peppers, put them in there. Onions, dice them, put them in there. Mushrooms, I don't slice them until I'm ready to use them. And then any other vegetables, celery. I always have celery on hand too. Those are my basis for any dish. Now, here's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to take some lamb kebabs and lamb has to be cooked with butter. If you cook your lamb with oil, I'm going to come smack you with a wet fish. You won't get the right flavor. Lamb must be paired with butter. I'm just telling you. As a chef, I'm telling you. So lamb, you can, I used to roast it in the oven with butter. Now, beef. Anything beef must also be cooked with butter to bring out the best flavor. So let's say you plan out your menu for the week or you follow the little menu. This week, did you notice I give you a whole month menu at the time? A month of snacks and a month of meals. Like your breakfast, lunch, and dinner are all on the Patreon page, and your snacks for a whole month are on there. So you plan out your meals, and then you say, I need this much chicken, I need this many dishes with chicken, I need this many dishes with beef, and whatever. Now to cut your fat, I'm going to tell you this. I sear my beef and sear my lamb in the butter and then roast it in water in the oven covered. So you have a seared outside, and it was always juicy. I mean, our restaurant was the best. People always, I had over 600 members in our little tiny town at that restaurant who came and ate every meal there. And then if you're going to do chicken can pair really well with olive oil, okay? But Chicken, I didn't sear at all. What I did is I slow roasted it with not sitting in the water because then it can get kind of grainy, but you put it above the little rack, have water in the bottom, and I'm gonna tell most of you, please don't salt your meat until it's done cooking. Here's why. What does salt do on meat? Draws out the moisture. So you want dry food, put salt on it. If you don't want dry food, cook without the salt. Okay? Unless you make a rub, and your rub should be primarily like paprika, chili powder, pepper. You put that on, ooh, and you crust that sucker, then great. But I still don't salt my meat to the end because unless I have a very, very thick crust and I've already seared it really strong. Like if I'm making a prime rib roast, I want all the juices in that meat. Okay? And so you have to learn the techniques and the tricks, and those are some things you can always ask me. But when we have the beginning of the week, so you take Sunday, you cook you cook your grains, you have them in the fridge, stored, ready to use. You have all your vegetables non-cooked, ready to use and pair. And then you have some meat already cooked, ready to pair. Now what do you got to do? You come home or your husband gets home, it's the end of the day. All you got to do is, well, let's say like for Danielle, she wanted to have roasted stuffed pumpkin or stuffed squash. We take our zucchini or our pumpkins, spoon it out, roast them for their 40 minutes or whatever you need. And then now we stuff it with some quinoa that's already cooked. Now I'm heating up my quinoa in water on the stovetop, or I take, in another pan, I have like some olive oil and I'm sauteing whatever vegetables I want to go with that dish, right? And then I put the meat of my choice in if I want meat that night. Do you see how fast my dinner came together? Because everything was already in containers in the fridge for the week. We don't want to hold these for 2 weeks. But if you have like ground meat already cooked, I tell you, people aren't going to feel like it's a leftover or taste anything weird when you do it like this. Spaghetti. Let's say you made some pasta that week and you had some whole grain pasta, because let's do kid friendly, not low carb. And you have your ground beef that you've cooked in a little bit of water, and then you seasoned it with just a little bit of butter at the end and salt and pepper. So then you have your pasta. You reheat the pasta in water. And you have your meat, you reheat that in a little bit of oil or water. Make your sauce, and you're heating it at 3 bowls or going 3 pans on your stovetop. You took 20 minutes and you got a full dinner because everything was already ready. So if you do the preparatory work, having healthy meals is fast. And when you're making the spaghetti, so then you throw in some of the vegetables you got. Let's throw in some celery, some onions, and some peppers. We like spice it up a notch, right? And so thinking ahead helps you not to go in desperation to eat the bad, crappy food, right? If you plan ahead, you've already got the healthy stuff on hand. And so let's say you come home, you're exhausted, you've got like 10 minutes. Well, you have homemade tortillas. Melly's recipe, 2 parts flour to 1 part liquid. That liquid can be half water, half fat, melted butter or coconut oil or olive oil, whatever you want to do. So 2 parts flour to 1 part liquid, and then some salt. You knead that all together, let it rest about 10 minutes. You make your balls, you put them in the, you get them on a cast iron pan, oven, or cast iron pans. You cook, I used to cook like 100 at a time, freeze like 4 bags of them, keep 1 bag in the, ready to use for the week. So guess what? I've already got my chicken cooked. I've got my beef cooked. I asked my husband, do you want chicken or beef tonight? He says, which one? I pull it out, reheat it with a lid on top over low in water. Tastes amazing. Get a skillet over here with a little bit of olive oil in it. Sear the crap out of that. It's amazing how fast it is. Put some Azure Standard taco seasoning on. We got the guacamole in the fridge, the sour cream in the fridge. I pull up the cheese. Do you see what I'm saying? Like planning ahead and making sure you look through. That's why I give you these menus. Because you can look through and see what items you're going to need that week. Does that make sense? And so you set yourself up for success so you're not just hungry, you don't just eat a bag of chips. You set yourself up for success so you're not just so hungry that you just go eat crappy carbs. And I'm sorry, if your diet, if your plate is 50% carbs, you're probably a little soft around the edges. And I'm not seeing the muscle development that you could have. When you load your plate and you start prepping dinner, I want to see at least 2/3 vegetables. I want to see, so let's do stir fry. A light olive oil, a light oil, or you steam your veggies. And here's the trick. Here's the trick. Steam your veggies to almost done, but not quite. They're still crisp. Steam them or cook them. You can roast them in the oven. Guess what? You know, to fool everybody that you just put a little bit of oil then in a pan, make sure it's nice and hot, throw your veggies in at the end, it'll crisp them like crazy. Same thing with your meat. I do it all the time with my husband. Right? Men hate crock pot meals. Men hate crock pot meat. But when you cook this way, like I'm telling you, you roast it in the oven and then you sear it in that last finishing right before you cook it, you know, because men hate crock pot meat. They hate the way it's grainy and falls apart. They hate it. So if you're going to make a roast, let me tell you this. What I do is I sear that roast 4 minutes per side. And I like sit there and turn it till every side is seared in butter. If it's beef, it has to be in butter. And then you know what I do? I stick it on a rack in the oven or in the Instant Pot until what? Until it's about 20 minutes cooked. 20 minutes. All that did was start to cook it. You know what I do at that point? I pull it out of the oven and yep, it's hot. I slice it thin, throw it back in the oven and those juices, add some liquid aminos, Bragg's liquid aminos and pepper. Men love it because it didn't turn grainy. You cut it at the right time. So 20 to 30 minutes into the roasting process, you pull it out, boom, still got the texture that a man likes with that meat. And then you take all the sauces, you make an au jus. And then you have your homemade bread for the French dips. Or if you're going low carb, guess what you do? Lettuce wraps. Lettuce wraps for the win. Coconut wraps. I love coconut wraps. Some people hate them. Azure Standard has a great amount. So set yourself up for success at the beginning of the week. Slice up the vegetables that you know are most necessary, except for mushrooms. Wait to the end. That won't be a problem for Yesenia, who doesn't like mushrooms, but I love mushrooms. Okay, so now with that in mind, let's talk about what Danielle was talking about, stuffed veggies. So let's say one night she wants something stuffed. What I used to take was little pumpkins, those little tiny pumpkins. So you can get them this time of year a lot. Wash off the rind. Please wash it off for no salmonella, listeria. Actually, cut it in half, scoop it out. Put it in a shallow pan with about a ½ inch of water to an inch of water. Cover it. Put it in the oven and roast it till it's done. In the meantime, have your quinoa and your vegetables and everything cooked over here, right? Like I've just talked about the meat. Then you take your quinoa, pepper. Here's what I do. Quinoa, peppers, onions, and whatever meat. Saute that all together, get it warm. Lime, salt, cilantro. Are you listening? Lime, salt, cilantro, and heavy on the lime. Then you put that in the cooked squash after you drain it out of the water. And then you take it and you roast that in the oven. You can put some cheese on top at that time. Feta cheese is the best with that one. And then make sure at the end you season it again with salt. You can add a little garlic at this point. Salt, garlic, lime. You guys, smell your food before you eat it. If you don't smell it, or you can't smell it, don't even take a bite yet. It ain't there. I taught my employees at my restaurant to cook by smell. And all of a sudden, they all felt like they were 5-star chefs. Because before that, they were tasting it. I said, stop tasting it. Smell it. Smell it. And they would go and so they'd bring it over to me at the restaurant and they'd be like, oh, I think this is good. I'd smell it. I'm like, that sucks. I hadn't even tasted it. I'm like, reseason it. They'd go back and reseason it, bring it back again. I'm like, you see the difference? I said, smell it first. If you can't smell it, you won't taste it. Your olfactory and your mouth are together. Okay, sorry, this is the Healthy Habits Zoom. Definitely not Bible study today. Tonight is the Bible study. Cass has a question. Well,
Nope, I don't. Miss Danielle would like to know what you would recommend as seasoning or how to make acorn squash.
Like what to put in it, because I'm in the mood for beef, but like what else would you put in it?
I'm in the mood for beef.
you're ever on the Zoom, Danielle's hand actions are wonderful over here. Okay, so if I took acorn squash, what I like to do personally, I have a few tricks to do with acorn squash. So butternut squash, acorn squash, you can actually peel them in their hardened form, thin slice them, saute them for like a stir fry, saute them with vegetables, and then have some beef, like a thin sliced beef for an Asian type meal. It's amazing. That doesn't work. What you can do is roast them in the oven with that little bit of water in a pan, cover them, put them in the oven until it's edible, right? Until it's soft. Then you take your beef on the side. I would do peppers, onions. I would do some mushrooms. I would saute those with ground beef. I would season that with salt, pepper, garlic. And then I would once the meat mix is hot, once you got your acorn squash hot, I would scoop this meat mixture into there. I would top it with cheese and broil it for a few minutes. Just to get that brown on the cheese. I would do feta cheese, particularly with that one. Feta has a great thing, but I wouldn't do lime with that. Now, another way to do acorn squash, healthy style. So cook your squash all the way, take it out, mash it with a tiny bit of honey and a tiny bit of whipping cream. And you get like a little desserty one. And a little bit of butter in there could be good as well. But butter is whipping cream. Butter comes from the whipping cream. If you've had a cow, you know what I'm talking about. The other thing you can do with the acorn squash is you can cook it just to tender, and you can whip it like you do mashed potatoes, whipping cream, salt, and pepper. I personally love it. Some men hate it. I'm just going to be honest. But I like to eat it like that. So you can do the whipping cream, the salt, the butter. You don't have to use the dairy at all. You can use some broth. So if you keep the acorn squash on the savory side of things, then you could have like a steak with it, Danielle, or you could do like a ground beef patty, like a hamburger steak with some veggies on top. So your hamburger steak, roast and saute some onions and some peppers, put that over or beside the squashed acorn squash that you had, that you mashed up. And then you could drizzle it with a little bit of oil. You can put a little bit of arugula, feta cheese on there, some arugula on top, some sprouts. You could make a really good meal with that one. Another thing is you can dice. So take your acorn squash and cook it just a few minutes, just so it's easier to slice off the skin. Take off that peel, dice while it's still hard, semi-hard. Dice your acorn squash into little tiny squares. Drizzle them with a little bit of olive oil, or to avoid the oil, put a little bit of water in the pan, cover all those little squares, throw them in and cook them till they're fork tender. Drain the water off on a parchment sheet that's on a pan that's lined with parchment sheet. Then lay out those little squash, drizzle them with olive oil, salt, pepper, garlic, roast them, and you're going to have amazing little potato things. And then you could throw those into a country hash. So you could do those with some ground beef and some peppers and mushrooms and go kind of like the breakfast hash route. Did I just give you too many options, Danielle? Or now you see? Okay, let's keep going. What other questions do you guys have? So this is what we do twice a month on our weekly healthy habits, which I think is more beneficial. Like I was saying, I think the entry level for most people, that's a little too little because they don't know what to do. The middle level, I think, is what most people should be at. The upper level, I think most people don't need that, except for those who are really serious about getting healthy for the first few months and then come back down to the middle one. This accountability, I think, is the most helpful for all. Yes, Miss Melima.
Okay, so what would be some really good tips on how to save money and make healthy budget meals? Because it I mean, I know you have to like expend your bill a little bit more with the organic and stuff, but how can you stay off of the carbs but still keep it like a good healthy meal for the family?
Right. So the hard thing with so with most families, you can't go specifically low carb. Children need a lot of carb load. If you're like my build, we need high carb load, but it has to be healthy, complex carbs. Let's go over here. I'm going to screen share. Let me pull up something. If you give me just a moment, please. I'm going to go to Azure Standard over here. Azure Standard is one of your best. Fail. Why is it not doing it? Well, I don't know. So never mind. I was going to do that. Apparently I'm not. Never mind. So let's just talk about it. So here are some budget-friendly ways to save money. You have to plan. The number one thing that will help you. Do you know how this week on Patreon I gave you a month's worth of menus? Now, If you need to save money more, you know what, that's what I should do this next week. I should do a budget friendly one, because at the budget friendly one, what I do is I repeat your meals. I tell you when to do leftovers. Actually, I did on this week, didn't I? Did on the one I put out. I tell you to do leftovers. So what I try to do is maximize your dollar efficiency, and I try to tell you when to use leftovers, because that helps. So here's the thing. You have to budget and you have to plan. That's your number one thing to save money. Then your front load cost at the beginning of each month, yep, it's a little bit more, but in the end, it's less. So first of all, if you're trying to limit carbs, please remember you cannot reduce all carbs, or your body will go into what is called keto flu. You will get the ketosis flu, meaning your body will actually start to die and kill itself, and you will feel like you have the flu because you put your carb limit so low. So let's look at healthier carbs cooked in healthier fashions. Red potatoes. I'm going to tell you guys who thought sweet potatoes were your healthiest option, they're loaded with carbs. They're wonderful, nutrient dense, but they're not really low carb. So I don't know who told you what. So they're not. So what I would focus on is quinoa, which is a high protein. Teff is a high protein, but those are expensive grains. So if we can't do that, let's look at buying bags of whole grain red wheat or white wheat berries. So you get the spring wheat berries that are whole grain. They still have the endosperm and everything on it, the germ and everything there. You want to make sure it's whole grain. And you buy it in a 50-pound bag or 25-pound bag, whatever you can do. Also rice, so organic brown rice. Now, you are going to want to make sure that then you're either growing your own garden or you're looking for vegetables like spinach, kale. See, kale, I had Cassandra and some of the girls here the other night, and I was showing them when you cut your kale down for like in late summer, it'll start growing and stay all winter. You have to just cover it with a layer of plastic, and sometimes you can go 2 layers of plastic, because every layer of plastic you do gives you a zone south. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, we're just talking about health food right now. This is not the Bible study time, so I'm sorry to confuse some of you. But what you want to make sure is that you focus on the things that are a little bit inexpensive, like kale. And spinach is a bit hard to grow in certain climates. It depends because of the pests that might be there to rid it or to riddle it. But kale is a winter hardy one. Also beets. Beets, you can eat both the tops and the root. And I have lots of beets still in my garden if anybody needs some. But your beets, my beets, I can still harvest well into February. Usually, and especially if you build a little cold frame around it and put a little layer of plastic, you can harvest beets up north here in zone 4. You can harvest all the way, sometimes we're zone 3B, all the way into like February sometimes. So kale, cabbage is another way. So focus on doing heads of cabbage and making your own fermented sauerkraut on the counter. I make giant like crocks of it, and then you just put it in the fridge. And I keep it refrigerated rather than cooked because you have all the healthy probiotics. So then the other thing, Kim, is Greek. Okay, so you got your carbs. You do have to choose your healthy carbs. You're looking at vegetables that are sustainable and cheaper. And so your plate wants to be focused on the vegetables first, and then we go with our carbs, right? Because if we're looking at the budget, we're also looking at where's my energy coming from. And then we limit our meat, but because if you're on a budget, meat's the most expensive thing you can have. So what are some proteins that are most cost effective? Yogurt. You buy one, and I have the video on the Patreon, but you take 1 container of organic whole milk yogurt, and you start like, you put like, you feel like a mason jar, like a quart mason jar, about a third filled with yogurt, and then milk. What you do is you turn your oven on for 4 minutes, turn it off, turn on the oven light, and that jar with that little bit of yogurt with active live cultures, by the morning after 8 to 12 hours, will be more yogurt. So then you just multiplied 1 container of yogurt by 3, and now you continue to keep that culture going. Yogurt is super high protein, super healthy for your body, has all the lactic acid and bifidobacteria and this lactobacilla that your body needs in the stomach, the gut flora. And it's super, super inexpensive. And if you want to make it Greek yogurt, all you have to do is strain that in a cheesecloth overnight. So you put it in a tea towel over a bowl, let it rest then for 24 hours, and it condenses. But yogurt, Greek yogurt, they're both great. Another high source of protein is cottage cheese. Homemade cottage cheese is really hard to get proper, but it's really good. So Mr. William, hello, I see you. So you could take, like, make sure your meat. So when I made lasagna at my restaurant, there was no meat, and you would be surprised at the amount of men who came in for my lasagna. Every Monday was a lasagna feature. Tuesday was chicken pot pies. Wednesday was runzas or cabbage burgers, biraks. Thursday was green chili chicken enchiladas, and Friday was pizza. So those are my features. Monday, it was packed with men for that lasagna. You know what I did in the lasagna? Spinach, mushroom, onions, and cottage cheese. And they loved it. And they were like, oh, this is the best. And there was no meat. And men were always like, I'm so surprised I like this. You guys, it's all about in the seasonings as well. Make sure that you can smell it, that Italian seasoning, that garlic. And girls, when you're cooking for your men, stop playing with the curries. Stop playing with the weird things. If you're going to do anything for a man, it has to be more of a spicy curry. They don't like that sweet. Usually men are revolted by foods like beets. They don't like the earthy taste. They don't like turmeric. So you got to be really careful. Men love lamb korma in my restaurant. Almost none of them touch the aloo gobi masala, but the women eat it like crazy. So again, back to this efficiency and the cost effectiveness, look at those types of proteins. Make your own yogurt, multiply it, put yogurt in everything you can think of. Put these vegetables in everything you can think of. Like, really use the fillers that are cheaper as your base. And meat is the dressing. Meat is the dressing. Okay, so your protein is going to come from beans. Now, beans also have high carbs, but they're also one of the highest fiber rich foods, right? So chickpeas, pinto beans, red bean. Really make sure you cook your red beans properly. You can get poison from them if you don't cook them properly. Just remember that. Black beans. And how do we make that cost effective? Well, you buy giant bags of beans from Azure Standard and you cook them on the stovetop, or you cook them in your crock pot, or you cook them in your Instant Pot. Now, I just gave a recipe last week again for my homemade refried beans. My son growing up, if you open the fridge, if he needed food, you know, he knew there was a homemade tortilla right there and a homemade big giant pot of refried beans. Like, go get one. That's we got food right there. Like, that is so healthy. And then what would we top it with? Lettuce from the garden. We would top it with the tomatoes from the garden. You topped it with your vegetables and you load it with veggies, right? Those homemade tortillas are easy, and they don't have to have any dairy. Because I'm looking at Jess. I know they have a dairy-free home. Those refried beans have no dairy. I buy those giant bags of refried beans, cook them in the... Okay, so here's how you do your refried beans if you weren't on Patreon already. Soak your beans overnight in water, making sure you have about 2 inches above the top or whatever. Drain that water off in the morning. Fill that water, that pot back up on your, what's it called? Crock pot. And you fill it up to a couple inches above the beans again. Put your lid on. Do not salt it, or your beans will be crunchy and have weird texture. Don't salt it. Put those beans in and put that water on. Cook it on high for about 6 to 8 hours. At the end of that time, when your beans are really, really soft and squishy, guess what? Take them out and mash them. Reserve some of that water, put that water back in a little bit, salt it. You can add your green chilies if you want, whatever. Your tortillas, again, 2 parts flour to 1 part liquid. You can use a little bit of olive oil and water. You can just do your liquid, whatever your taste suit, but you cook that over a medium-low pan, cast iron, unoiled. So simple and easy. And those beans, if you wanted to make chili, well, you don't cook them all the way to squishiness. You just cook them to till they're cooked, and they'll hold up in a bean sauce or in a chili mix. So some really cheap meals are like refried beans, tortillas, chili, casseroles. My family was a poor farming family, so we grew up with casseroles galore, right? You always have any kind of casserole in the world the northern people know how to make. So, but casseroles you may have to rewrite to get some of the condensed soups out, to get some of the heavy creams out. You want to just do it by your body type. Again, reach out to me. I'll help you. Some body types can take a little bit more fat. Like Cass wasn't eating enough calories when I first which I first started helping her, we actually doubled her calorie load, I think almost, and she lost another 20 pounds after the 80 or 60 she
You
lost.
jump started my what's that called?
Metabolism.
My metabolism. So now I'm not eating like the most perfect healthy, I'm just gonna be honest. I'm still losing weight. I'm like, what's going on here?
Well, it's because, okay, so she was basically eating one meal a day when we met, or not when we met, when she moved here. And I said, you got to eat more. This isn't healthy. But in people's minds, they think if you're restricting your food, then you're going to lose weight. I said, nope. She goes, I feel like I can't eat all this food. You're telling me to eat so much food. I'm like, trust me, it's going to work. And did she trust me? Yep. And did it work? Yep. Look at her down another 20 pounds, a total of 80 pounds. See, sometimes you have to trust me through the process of pushing you beyond what you thought you were supposed to do. Same thing with some of you who are not eating and just eating little pocket cheeses and peanut butter. And I'm like, your metabolism is you're actually going to kill your metabolism. I eat about 2,700 calories at the minimum a day. I'm not exaggerating. Ask my husband. He got used to in our first years of marriage, everybody, I'm like, oh my gosh, you're so skinny. And he's like, she eats more than me, leave her alone. She eats more than me, leave her alone. He'd just start saying it. She eats more than me. I'm telling you, she eats more than me. She's not anorexic. You have to keep your metabolism fueled. If you deplete, your body is created to stay alive. If you cut your calories, what happens? The body says, oh, we're in a stress mode. I need to hold on to every calorie I have now. You just killed your metabolism. You just gained another 15 pounds. You know why? Because you told your body it was starving. You put your body in stress. Okay, we got a few questions here. I hope I gave you a few ideas, Kim. It's looking at those easy staples. Again, planning, making sure the things are in your fridge so it doesn't go to waste. Anytime you have a leftover, be creative. Any leftover you have can almost be made into a soup. You got leftover lasagna soup it is. And all you got to do is add more tomato sauce, or not tomato sauce, but diced tomatoes with seasonings. At my restaurant, we had very, very little waste. Very, very little waste, because I'd look at the leftovers from the day before and I'd say, what soup am I making for tomorrow? It was based on that day's leftovers. So sometimes we had some interesting soups, and they were usually the popular ones. Apple squash soup, who would know? Women love it. So you got some leftover cooked butternut squash and apples, you put it all together, you mash it up, and it's amazing with some chicken broth. So, Miss Maria.
Okay, I'm simple. You guys are way above me. I'm like making peanut butter jelly sandwiches and trying to get the right enough balance. But I did notice the group. I'm glad I'm here, but I'm looking and I don't know how to join the group. And
So it's over on Patreon. It's God's Little Hummingbird. So God's Little Hummingbird
on Facebook,
Healthy Habits.
Instagram?
It's not on Facebook.
Oh, is it on Instagram?
Nope, it's on Patreon.
What's that? I'm sorry.
Yep. So Patreon is its own platform. And so, like I said, like some people start at the $9.99 a month group. That level is kind of for do it yourself. You just want to kind of get some ideas and recipes. The middle level, we do twice of these a month at the minimum. When it comes winter, we do 4 of them a month. And this is where we keep each other accountable. Sometimes I'll pull up my screen. I take you through grocery stores. I show you what to buy, what not to buy. We've done that a couple times. I'll give you different this is the middle level, the $24.99 level a month. And then the upper level is for really intense personal training. And if those of you who are broke as a joke, you don't have the means, those people will reach out to me and I help you no matter what. But this was just a way for people, because people kept wanting to support me. And I'm like, well, I'll let you support me for work. I'm not going to ever take money, but I'll do something that will help you in return.
Okay. And I'm so sorry. Can you spell it? I'm trying to look for it.
Yep. Patreon.com. Patreon.com.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yep. And then somebody asked, the Casa de las Mujeres. Okay, so she's saying, but what if you don't get hungry? That is the whole thing. Your metabolism is slowed so much so you're not hungry. I'm telling you, I make you, like I told Cass she had to eat this time. I told her she had to get up and walk and start moving. I told her when she had to do it. I was literally the thorn in her side that now got her healthier. So I was a good thorn, but I was poking. The thing is you have to go beyond your feelings. So you won't feel hungry, but you can't starve yourself. If you think you're starving yourself and restricting your calories and think you're going to lose weight, that'll work for a couple weeks. That'll work even for a couple of years in some of your lives. And then you have ruined your metabolism beyond help. and then you're going to start gaining weight. So you think you're going to restrict your calories, stop it. And if you are restricting all your carbs, stop it as well. Your cells function on carbohydrates for nutrients. They need fuel. Now, I give some of you a metabolism boost. We do a diet designed to cut carbs just to get your body into shock mode, and we start liquefying. Like my husband lost 23 pounds in 3 weeks. Then I had to switch him back, and we had to incorporate carbs. And now he's maintained that weight. Like no problem. It's been a year.
Is that part of this still too, or is that something separate? Because I'd like
So this is normally not open to the public. I just did it today. This is for that group only.
perfect, but it will tell you how to re-kick. It's not just for recipes and stuff. It would be.
Well, so there's exercise videos, there's exercise guides. We do this twice a month at the middle level. If you need personal training or personal advice, we go to the upper level. Then I suggest you're probably going to only take a couple months of that and come back down. But some people are lost at the $9.99 level because it's kind of like I put it out there. You just kind of go through the stuff, and some people are like, okay, Patreon doesn't allow me to do certain things that I would like to do. That's beyond my control. But for the middle level, there's a chat thread. We have a specific chat thread, and then we have these bi-monthly teachings together, or group things where I will pull up Azure Standard, or I'll pull up a grocery store, or I'll go through a specific thing with you guys. We'll just do question and answer. So, okay. Tristan has a question or comment.
Okay, so I think I need to move up to the middle level now that I'm at home. Beforehand, and trying to organize everything, the chaos of my whole life. When Yahweh showed me that I was living 4 years in remodeled chaos, and the 5 years we were in that last house. So getting settled and stuff. I think that's what I did. I starved because they said you're supposed to, they say you're supposed to starve yourself for this time period. And then you eat too many calories and you're not eating enough calories. So I think that's why my metabolism's just like shot all to pieces. So I think I need to move up. I think I'll start looking at that possibly next month. But my biggest question is, so now, I'm doing everything at home now, and it's non-GMO. I guess I could show my face. Non-GMO organic, right? So
Yep.
I am going through bags of flour.
Yep. Because you're making
Okay.
it from scratch.
Right. So like, how is it better for me to mill by like I've heard you say wheat berries or red berries or something, and then mill
Yes, you
that?
get
Is
red
it
or white.
cheaper
Mhm.
than, or should I just keep buying the organic bags? I'm
I
just
would
trying to
say-
figure it out costly, because I don't know, because like I said, I'm new to doing everything fresh.
Right.
So
what you'll learn is that when you start making your food at home, you're noticing your grocery bill go up, but you forgot to note, well, not always your grocery bill, certain parts of it, but you're forgetting that now you don't eat out. You're not eating the processed foods, the junk foods. And so I had, Costco, Cass just put us on Costco. So flour, your healthiest flour is going to be the fresh milled flour. All your nutrients are there. I'm going to tell you, as you begin and make the transition to healthy eating, your family is going to be like at the fresh milled flour. Because it's like the whole wheat. So some families start with doing 1/3 of the white flour, 2/3 of the fresh milled. Also, the grain meals are pretty expensive. A little side note for tough times coming, which are coming, if you have wheat berries, they will hold forever. You can cook those just like you do rice in hot water. They're a little bit stickier and grainier, but they're high protein. You got the whole germ there. So just remember, if you're like, I can't make bread, I don't have my grains, you do. Store up wheat berries. They last for thousands of years, and we only need to make about 7 through, right? So store and then do the math of how many pounds you need per person. Start putting those in your little root cellar or whatever. That wheat is one of the only foods on earth that has all needed essential amino acids. Like wheat is a perfect food. And it's high protein. It's like usually 18-19% protein. It's super amazing. You can do the hard red wheat berries. the soft white wheat berries. What you want to just make sure is they're wheat berries, so it has the germ of the brand. Keep them dry, store them in whatever. You can get potable containers, you can get buckets. Make sure the buckets are food grade safe, or get liners that are food grade safe. Don't just put them in a plastic bucket or they'll taste like plastic. Or you can keep them in the bags, the brown bags, so they breathe. And if you ever run out of food and you can't make bread, well, you have your wheat berries right there. And what I used to do is take those wheat berries, I would put lime, cilantro, peppers, all sorts of, make a fresh cold salad with it. And the men loved it. Salt and garlic. And I didn't do pepper on that salad because the pepper took away from some of the flavors. But you can do it like that, or get your wheat berries hot and then put it into a chili. So with the beans and tomatoes, so you take wheat berries, tomatoes, and the beans, you make a porridge type chili. It goes a long way. It's inexpensive. Make sure you have the Azure Standard taco seasoning, the best seasoning ever. And you, there's so many ways to be creative. The other thing is if you soak those wheat berries and cook them like rice, you can then mash them. Right? So you can mash them and blend them and puree them and make kind of like a porridgey meal. So you can make like a breakfast. So there's so many things when times are tough. This is what I want to impart to you guys before it gets here. My family were poor farmers growing up. I didn't know that people didn't act like my family. We canned our food. We had big gardens. We butchered our beef. We butchered our chickens. On Sundays, they pulled out this big stretcher board. Everybody took a corner of the quilt and was hand sewing. I didn't know that was old fashioned because that was my life, right? Then you're like, nobody knows how to do these things. Like Miss Cassandra sent me a picture last night. It was the cutest thing ever. She said, I processed vegetables. I'm like thinking she can. I'm like, this is amazing. She sent me washed vegetables from my garden. I'm like, sweetie, you did not process any vegetables. You washed your vegetables.
It took like an hour to wash all the dirt off.
I was like, yeah, but that's not processing them. Now let's slice that cabbage, stomp it with the thing, get the juices out. Let's get some sauerkraut going. So then we'll be processing. Let's do some canning. Then we're processing, or let's freeze it. Let's blanch it and freeze it. So those are the things that I will be going through on the healthy habits. I thought I was going to have more time this year. Anyway, it's okay. Those are the things I do want to go through more of, the canning, the prep. Anytime you have questions, I think that these group environments like this are good to go through that. And so going back to Tristan's question, when you're making your food, here's what you want to look for. Look for a fermented bread. If you're going to start with flour first, look for fermented breads that are flour, water, salt, and yeast. Okay. And I have recipes I can share with you. Flour, water, salt, and yeast, then ferment them with that particular recipe, you can go about up to 5 days in the refrigerator. So you make a giant batch of dough, stick it in your fridge, whatever you're not using that day. I always suggest fermenting your bread up to 3 days at least anyway, like 2 to 3 days, just to get the enzymes going and the probiotic action going. Then use that dough mix, flour, water, salt, yeast. That's pretty cheap. And then you use that for your week for bread. And it's amazing. That was my #1 sandwich bread at the store that I sold. And I made rich breads, croissants, everything. Everybody loved that bread. But it is a process on that one. You have to pull it out, let it come to room temperature, let it rise. But now that you're home, you can do that. But you will be going through more flour. The other thing is you can make your homemade crackers. You take that flour with some cheese, with some spices, make up your own cracker recipe. You can do it like pastry style. What I often did was take some butter, cut it into the bread. I made my own Cheetos, guys. I took organic corn flour, mixed it with some spices. I did fry those for my family, but I tell you what, it's better than the store-bought ones. So if you need some homemade Cheetos, I dehydrated my own cheese right in a dryer. I would process and powder it, and then I would fry my little corn strips. So every once in a while, we still had our little treats. You guys want to know a really good treat? Get the giant bag of organic popcorn from Azure Standard. You can make it right on your stove top. That popcorn is high in vitamin C. It's a good staple. Just put a tiny drizzle get a spray bottle and put water on it and your salt. There you stopped your oil. Just see how you can prepare for snacks that are inexpensive and healthy. Grow your carrots in the garden. Carrots can hold in the garden until about February, as long as you cover them with straw bales and hay, or make sure you have the proper, I'm up north. We're about zone 3. So you really got to prepare, but you can do it. It's just knowing what crops work in your zone. Those are the things I think this space is good for. This is the twice a month thing. And I do think it helps. And if you can't afford it, please don't be afraid to reach out to me. Certain things, like I don't have time for everything in life, but this is something that's a passion that I really want people healthy. First of all, spiritual is always free. Second of all, the health, I can't always do every minute of my time for free, but I still will help you. And so this thing is passionate. I'm very passionate about. Okay, and I'm going to have to stop here in a bit, but usually we do these an hour, twice a month, just so you know. Yesenia has a question or comment.
For the wheat people that are trying to convert over to grinding their own stuff, can you make some suggestions on the miller? Because
Yes.
this is something I was not aware of, and I went into this, and what I purchased the cheapest, it's an attached, but it didn't work out so well because even at the finest setting, it was still very chunky. It took a really long time, and it was overheating, and I didn't want to burn out my KitchenAid. And I think the attachment was like $70. But then when I went to go look at like a miller, they're very expensive.
They are. That's why I was trying to give you guys suggestions of how to do it
And
without
Bella
it.
is requesting that you share the Cheetos recipe.
Okay, I need to go find the one, don't I,
We're
Bella?
freaking out.
I was thinking about you the other day, Bella. I was gonna say to your mama, give you a hug. Bella's a good hugger, just like Jeanette. So with the grain meals, like the one I have, I think was like $1,600. Not gonna lie, it's not cheap. And so then if you don't want one like that, because I think mine was the Country Mill one, and then there's also ones that you can get for like $500. And then I always say, please don't get the one that attaches to your KitchenAid or Vitamix. Please don't get that. It will burn out your motor. Please don't get that. It will burn out your motor. And so if you're in a bind and you can't afford to get something that would grind your wheat berries, that's why I suggest cooking them like rice and mashing them. Because when it's mashed in its wet form, if you then use part wheat berries with part flour, you can actually make a really good bread. Flour, water, salt, yeast, but some of that bread is more like a sprouted grain. So you can even sprout it for a night or so and let it really get soft. And so if you're looking for a grain meal, it is an investment. You're going to have to decide if you want to do that or not. Same thing with I don't like dehydrated foods. I hate how they taste, and I always prefer to freeze mine or can mine. Some of you have the freeze dryers, but they're pretty hefty price. It's $1,500, $1,600. You have to decide, is it worth it? And so for me, it's not to get a freeze dryer. It's never been worth it. I can see that canning, now Harvest Guard canning lids. Harvest Guard canning lids are reusable. I have tested them for years. I have used them for years because I used to have one garbage bag a week until I started my store. Everything almost that we ate came from my garden, and I canned it or processed it or grew it or raised it. My son did not have store-bought bread till he was 16 years old, and I'm not exaggerating. We really just lived very frugally. And so always had, like I said, always had a pot of beans in the fridge. You needed something to eat? Well, we got refried beans. And you know what I mean? We did the inexpensive things, and beans are easy to grow, by the way. That's another thing you can grow in your garden. But if you can't invest in the wheat grinder, I would encourage you to learn how to at least get your wheat berries mashable so that you could form them into some sort of, because here's the other thing. Once you cook your wheat berries and mash them, you can let them dry out and dehydrate them, and then you could like grind them like flour. It's like so there's so many ways to be creative. So if you had a mixer, growing up poor makes you very creative. Like I'm just saying, like if you knew you weren't going to have money for something, my husband and I both grew up, his house growing up was $100. That's how poor they were. We were very poor too. So he and I together, I think, yeah, they put us together because you have to be resourceful. Like I was always going around the farm like, okay, I need to fix this. So I'd find a bale of twine, a twine bale, a bale twine over here, and I'd go repurpose it over here for my gate fixes. You just know, farmers have to be creative. That's why the inventions came from poor farmers, because you didn't have the money to go get the parts you needed, but you got to figure it out. And so when you're just put yourself in that creative mode, like, what could I do? Oh, so I have wheat berries. I can cook them on, in hot water. If you got a wood burning stove, all you got to do is put that water and the wheat berries on top in a cast iron pan or a cast iron skillet. You just let it cook a couple hours. You're doing double service. You got your wood burning stove cooking. That's what I used to do. If we were out of power or anything, I would put my roast and everything in one of my cast iron pots, and I'd put it downstairs on the wood burning stove, and it'd cook all day, and we'd have food that night. So it's so nice. So you just have to be creative, because flour will spoil faster than wheat berries. If you can't grind the wheat berries, what are you going to do? Okay, let's cook them into a porridge style. Then once it kind of maybe dehydrates or dries out after I've cooked it and I let it cool, then maybe I'll kind of mash it up. Maybe I can play with it. What can I do? Add some mashed potatoes to it, make it into a porridge, make it like a dinner thing. You have to be creative when times are going to call for creativity. And so not everybody's going to be able to buy a food meal. There are some cheaper, there are some better. The Country Mill is the one that I have right now, or the Country Harvest. What's mine called, Morgan? Maybe she remembers.
Country Living. It's like
Country
the
Living.
best manual grain market manual grain mill on the market.
It is. I'm
I'm
telling
going
you
to
what.
get one.
And you better have some muscles if you're going to do it
Well,
by hand.
I shared the bike thing on there because it cuts the time and effort in half.
Yep. And I have very creative and inventive father and husband. So we have a motor on ours, but I still have the hand crank there if I ever need it. But you can't overload your machine. You have to start. Those of you who use pasta machines, like I had my restaurant, so I had the dough rollers and stuff like that. You have to start wide. So you have your grinding capacity. You have to grind it a few times. Yes, Enya. So you start with a coarse grind, and then you would gradually go down to a fine grind. Same thing I had to do with my croissant dough. I started thick, and then I would go down to thin. And so, okay, last question, Cass. I think this has been good. I just wanted to open it up. I felt the Lord tell me to open it up today to the public, just to help some of you understand. Also get feedback and tell you, I think most of you probably don't need the upper level. Like, unless that's on your heart, you want to do that, thank you. But I think most of you would be best at the middle level. I really do.
Okay, so I have a question, and then Danielle has a question. My question is, because I figured it'd be good to ask on here. You know that company on Azure Standard that sells beef? It's called Thousand Hills.
Okay.
Is that company, have you contacted that company, see if it's
I have,
good?
but I will tell you about, so Azure Standard, I've ordered from them since 2007. They are a Messianic Jewish company. Everything they do, they make sure has no pork ever contaminating the product. They are very strict about the pork and the kosher standards. They try to have nothing in their facility or in their products that have they try to do all non-GMOs. But that being said, they're also, the caveat is they're like, but you better call yourself. We process our own beef, so I haven't had to order. I don't really order beef. My cows had names, and so when we eat them, we're like, oh yeah, this is Rosie, or this is Samuel.
Okay, so you haven't called Thousand Hills. Okay, I'll give them a call.
Okay.
And because it says 100% grass-fed beef, but that doesn't mean they're finished.
Well, yeah, right. They could have corn. If this says 100% though grass-fed, I would take that as grass-fed and finished. If it only says grass-fed and they didn't clarify, but when it says 100%, I'm gonna say they were probably grass-fed and finished, because that's a pretty bold claim and nobody wants that grain finish at the end.
Okay. Okay, and then Miss Danielle?
Okay, and you said something about popcorn being good vitamin C, right?
I'm
But I
gonna
think-
tell you, get the popcorn you make yourself. Please don't get the bags of popcorn. Even the organic stuff has weird chemicals. So make sure you
Right.
make it yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, so you mean like the one you put in a little popcorn maker? Because I have one of those.
You can do it. Yep. I use a popcorn maker or right on the stove top.
Okay, but I think I remember you saying something like corn makes you lethargic. Is that still an issue?
So Too much corn. When you're a cow, when cows eat corn, they get fat. 98% of American food products that are shelf stable now have corn in them, usually genetically modified. So that's why people are getting lethargic and fat. Now, popcorn in and of itself, if you just, popcorn actually is an ancient grain. The way they do it, usually it's healthier. You're not eating, it's not as dense, but yes, it still has the capacity to make you fat, and especially if you put a slather it with butter and stuff. Corn in itself is good. Look at what the Indians lived on, the Aztecs, the Maya. Actual corn, okay, so you have different kinds of corn. You're not going to understand this. Sweet corn makes you fatter than the corn that was raised for grain. Okay? Because I have grown corn that I dehydrate, or you can get corn. I actually grind it in that Country Living food mill. I have ground my own corn. I buy organic corn kernels, the whole grain corn, and you grind it into your own cornmeal. If you do that to make your tortillas and stuff, corn's good for you. It's another carb though. You have to be careful. And it's talking about usually the things that will make cows fat is the processed corn that goes into like a corn syrup type product. And those types of corn grain. But you do fatten up. You can marble up your cow with corn. I mean, we used to, when I was a little girl, they used to always corn feed them at the end, finish them, and you get the marbling. So you got to be careful. So it's not it's not black and white. You have to know the variances in there and what kind of corn and how much you're doing. Corn is very good for you. Corn is extremely excellent for you. And it can be a great grain. Like hominy, making pozole soup. You guys know what I'm talking about. If you know what I'm talking about, you put that hominy in there. That's amazing.
When I took away the taco salads.
Okay. So now, I love you all. I must go. And I will see you tonight at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Okay. I love you all. I'm glad we got to have some of you join over here. If you're interested, you can reach out. I probably won't get to the messages till tomorrow. Miss Morgan? Miss Morgan?
What's up?
Are you guys going to be ready?
No.
Okay, that's okay. I was wondering. I was like, should I head out the door and hurry, or did they get some other things happen?
Well, the sheep just got out, so we have to chase them in. And yeah,
That's fun.
I'll let you know as soon as we're ready.
Do you want me to come help chase the sheep on my way?
The kids will love that.
Okay, well, that's always fun.